apologies necessary. I can't make it because of family reasons. You got stuff going on. I'm actually getting a lot done today. I went out to the ranch, did a lot of rebar, moved a lot of stuff. So, one of those days you just can't touch.
Hey,
Yeah.
we'll take it. Take it as a win.
Hello and welcome to the Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge. I am Bill Kelly, Hornswoggle the Great, Psycho Bill, King of Ham. Well, there's a lot more, but we don't have time for that. And my co-host, I can't make it. Our co-host today is
Rob the Blacksmith. Nothing more.
Right on. It's National Devil's Food Cake Day, and Malcolm X Day, and Hepatitis Day, and Elected Official Day. So, I figured the seed has been planted. Oh, yes, it has. And it germinates so. And tomorrow I'm going to pick up the Dungeons and Dragons starter set for Willow. And I went over there yesterday and a couple of days before that, and she has been asking me non-stop Dungeons and Dragons questions.
Nice.
I explained all the classes, and it sounds like she wants to be a druid, and she wants to be like a wild-shaped druid. Okay, I'll put it in the story. And also, I told her about a lot of the races that are. There's cat people? Okay, you want to be a tabaxi. I don't know anything about them. They're a newer race for me. Challenge accepted. So far, so
good. This is a great primer for the one shot that we've been talking about, because I'm still working. People who have either been away from the game for a while or newbies, and that would be the perfect ideal for the one shot. That kind of a mentality is what you're looking for. Somebody they don't have all that much understanding or preconceived notions about it. The people who've been away for a long time would be fun. Yeah. For a similar reason, because now you've got them coming in, like you said, what the hell's a cat person? Wait a minute.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons doesn't have it. No, the Tabaxi, they exist. Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to have to learn. And then, like I told her, because I'm trying to talk them into the first, the Dungeons and Dragons movie with Jeremy Irons and that movie. It was heavily influenced by Hollywood. There! Dude, that's like the best way to clean it up. Thank you very much. So, from an outsider, it made perfect sense, which I think is what they were going for. But from someone who's been playing since 1981, what? No. Why is he doing that? Would never happen. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
However, the last one, Honor Among Thieves, Ed took me to it, and I really wanted to hate it, and I found myself deeply enthralled within the first half hour, and by the end of it, very, very glad that I got to go, and I've recently rewatched it on Netflix, and I'm going to told Beth, because Chip doesn't understand. Bards are eventually real. Bards and monks are kind of on the same scale, where it takes. In the beginning, they kind of suck, but after about 16 levels, they're a force to be reckoned with, and that's what I was trying to explain to him. Is they're a fighter, they're a thief, and they're a magic user, but it's the social aspect that you need a bard for, and it's.
I think of them as a rogue with far more charisma.
Yeah.
And far greater presence. The capacity to walk through a crowd, while picking pockets and having people be happy that they met them until they've left and they're 5 or 10 minutes away.
Wait a minute. Where's all my
Exactly.
silver's gone. God damn it. Where is that guy?
That's right. The rogue is the one who kind of moves through,
Yeah,
and
well,
somebody brushed against me. Oh, my wallet's gone.
she doesn't really have any interest in playing a rogue, and I'm okay with that
Right.
because honestly, if you've never played before, rogue shouldn't be your first character. You should. I want to play a fighter character, which is the mantra for a game you've never played before, and that's easy for the DM for the first time around, getting you to learn the game if you've never played before. If you want to play, a fighter character, then you know exactly what your job is when the shit goes down. Oh, there's fighting.
Yeah.
I'm a fighter. I'll take care of this. Meanwhile, the magic users, get him until they get really powerful. Then they're like, problem solved. Let's go. I already
That's
unlocked the
why
area last round. It's okay.
I look forward to a one shot with some newbies, people who've been away for a while, where you give everybody the opportunity. You pick anything you want, and I don't care. We're not going to worry about what you got to have. You got to have one fight. You got to have a tank. You got to have a thief. Then you got to have a bard. You're going to have a magic. No, the way I look at it is if I bring in 6 newbies and they all say, I want to be a barbarian. Great, we're a
my God,
barbarian horde, and here we go.
Yeah! That would be so much fun.
And
It's
then
like,
the DM could just have a field day with it. It's like, okay, you walked into a tavern and it's full of orcs. Barbarians, have that.
it's the difference between a brand new party playing an evil party and an experienced party playing an evil party. A brand new party playing an evil party, you're going to kill them in like 3 hours. But an experience, that's the giant misconception. I'm glad we're talking about this too, because you're totally right. There are quintessential jobs in Dungeons and Dragons that people need to do in order for you to survive, or, caveat, have the dungeon master create an NPC, non-player character, for that role. Like if nobody wants to be the cleric and they're adamant about not being the cleric, and being a cleric has its ups and downs. Yes, you're still a fighter, but that's not your main thing. Your main thing is medic, Band-Aid brigade. That's what clerics do. However, cleric and bard and druid and paladin and there's a few others, they can also have spells and some cantrips that aid the party. And I was talking to Chip about that. He's like, why would you want to be a bard? Well, imagine everybody's fighting and you're fighting too. But then you break out in song and now we all have +1. Oh, yeah. And Willow started laughing and Chip started laughing. I'm like, they sing songs and then that adds to the party's defense or offense depending on what, or magical resist, depending on whatever the level is. There's variables. And I'm not like wanting him to play a bard, but it's like, dude, bards are ridiculous as NPCs, much like The Witcher and things like that. But if you have a player character that's a bard, you have a huge opportunity to schmooze every social level of the, kingdom, really.
Oh, yeah.
He's eventually going to get a reputation. She is eventually going to get a reputation, and then that gets you places to see a mayor or a captain or a noble or a lord or an earl or whatever. And eventually,
They're extraordinary
emperor.
spies. They're the best spies ever because they walk in and nobody thinks twice about talking about doing this, that, or the other in front of the bard. And if the bard is playing themselves as a lesser quality bard, then nobody's paying attention to the bard while the bard is singing every fourth note off key. But they also happen to be walking past your table and they hear that you talked about this, that, or the other thing. So,
Yeah.
It's like the clerics. Like you said, the cleric gets to be kind of interesting and people say, geez, I don't know. I like to remind people about what we used to see with Ron. It's like, okay, yeah, and I call "Holy fuck you" from the sky. Blast!
That's not a real spell, but yes.
What did he do? Well, he called. Basically, he asked God to use his finger, and God just went down and said, "Get that shit out of my dungeon."
Yes. No, I Willow kind of, I don't know. I haven't even asked about a big group. I've been keeping it small and keeping it just her and Beth and Chip and I.
Oh yeah,
So
no, that's perfect.
at
I'm just
first,
talking about. I love that idea
yeah,
for that one shot.
I
Is that
wouldn't mind.
same basic idea?
I want to bring her. I would bring her into that later, yeah, but not
Exactly.
for the first
Not right
first
away.
game. No, dude, she's 10. It's
Exactly.
you have to.
Uh,
I've become obsessed with this on two levels, and I tried to explain it to Beth and Chip on Sunday when I had the day off because I know I've told this before. And they've heard me say it a million times, and so has everybody else. But it's kind of true. Knowledge isn't the knowledge isn't the presentation. It's the conduit that you can touch someone and really get them excited about the information. That being said, math was boring in classes, and I never saw the necessity to have it except for the tactical. Okay, John's got 4 apples. What is John smuggling the apples? Are these apples poisoned? Do they explode? Has he stole them from the local grocery store and we need to alert the authorities? Is John an international spy and he's going to clone these apples and grow them all over some foreign nation and then we're going to lose money? But the algebra was stupid because letters and numbers, but if it was Dungeons and Dragons or any of the other. Wait a minute. I can figure this equation out. So,
yep.
again, I was telling the story yesterday. It wasn't until 27 when I told Christine, look, I really like you, and if we're gonna, this was 1999. We've been divorced for 10 years now. Cheers, divorced for 10 years. So if we're gonna be together, you're really gonna need to learn how to play role-playing games because I want you to be there and be a part of the experience and be playing the games with us. And your average gamer guy is like, oh, you're having a chick play? Cool. That should be interesting. Because they don't know how it's going to go. She could be a valued member of the team, or she could be a dramatic pain in the ass. It depends on the girl, female, woman, whatever. So, if she has a acting background or just loves acting and role playing and stuff like that, dude, she's going to have a blast if she's got a good DM. If she's more of the corporate type, then you may want to gear her to a cleric because you want to set it up like a business instead of like an adventure where she's got a lot of intricate things that she has to do. Like if you had a girlfriend who was imaginative and still fun, but she was kind of, like balancing her checkbook is more fun than like playing video games, then you kind of want to talk her into being a cleric, and you want to kind of put it. I'm trying to think of a good Farron.
Even a magic user would be
Hell.
good for the person who
Ooh.
is somebody who's like that. Somebody who has the more of the analytical mind, and they tend to be very meticulous, almost to the point of showing an attention deficit disorder, one of the spectrum of the attention deficit.
You said it first. I wasn't going to go there.
Exactly. You get somebody who gets focused in on the minutia of the detail.
Yeah.
And may lose some of the creativity because they're looking for the details. They can't see the forest for the tree. Then they fall to those positions. They really love the cleric. has a lot of things that must be
Paladin,
followed
cleric.
and must be, yeah. Anyone who has those standard magic users become that way as well, because to do a cantrip, you have to have this, that, and the other. To perform this particular spell, you have to do the following things. You have to use particular spell slots. You have to have all of these different components. You have to know in depth
Spell components. So you have to have
what
sulfur and bat shit, and you have to have hair,
exactly.
you have to have a Titan's
What is the
toenails.
school of your magic user?
Ooh,
They
yes.
dig into that thing. Those become the ones that really love the multi-classes. They can go in and they can say, "Oh yes, I'm going to be this and this," and then
Yeah,
perfect.
you're like,
That's exactly what you want.
okay, look, we've been going out for a long time together, and I have heard about and watched you reorganize an entire library at work because you're a super Virgo. I really think you should pick the class Generalist Mage. No positives, no negatives, but you get to learn everything. What? I can cast all of the spells? Here's the book. Read them.
Eventually, yes, you could. You can cast everything.
Well,
you will have god powers in 20 years.
I said something to Chip yesterday, and it just kind of rolled off the tongue, and it just kind of clicked. There's a reason, because I said the players have to follow the rules. I'm the DM. I can do whatever the hell I want. There's a reason it's called the Player's Handbook or Player's Rulebook, and it's called the DM's Guide. It's a guide. If I want to drop a rule or change it or reverse gravity, that's up to me. When you're the DM, you're the NPCs, but you also control the gods and the demons and the devils and the angels, and you control everything. But you have to be impartial and fair-minded. Like from the show Community, where they're all in community college, they end up playing Dungeons and Dragons for 2 episodes. And the one guy is the DM, and he makes the perfect speech, and because they're like, "You owe us this," and he's like, "What? I'm the DM. I owe you nothing." And then he goes on a whole tirade about their situation, and he's like, "Spend 15 minutes outside the main bad guy's door arguing? Yeah, he's gonna get away. Sorry." And it's like, yeah, if you spend too much time arguing within your party, you're not going to get anything done. You have to have people that can work together and that will listen to each other and value each other's opinions. And even if you're like, wow, that's a really dumb idea, you can't package it that way. You're like, that might work, but maybe we should try this. And if this doesn't work, then we'll go with your idea that will get us all killed. Hey, you're right.
Yeah.
Your idea is better. You can't just be like, you're stupid. Why would you even say that, Ira? Or whatever. I couldn't think of a better name.
I always liken the DM's position. Every player in the game has a set of dice for a reason. So you're playing literally by chance. You can try to load the deck, as it were, by giving yourself certain attributes, by adding certain things to yourself, trying to cover yourself, and then remembering what it is that you have advantage on and disadvantage on, and trying to always play to your advantages. But everything operates under that opportunity of chance. And so the big thing that the DM has, everybody else has 4 sides on their dice or more. The Dungeon Master is the only one in the place who has a one-sided die. That is this right here. And the Dungeon Master can say, no.
This is it. That's not going to work. Well, in the last game, when we were we're not in the last game, and I don't like that rule, so it's not going to work. But I just thought of that. When you're DM, you can punish me with this rule, and I will take it. But right now, I am DM, and we're not doing that for whatever reason.
That's what I enjoyed about playing.
Pick your club sandwiches of reasons, and that's why I don't like playing with rules. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I agree.
Okay.
I was going to say, because that's what I enjoyed about playing when Rob was DMing. Because Rob, you could negotiate with Rob. You could put your case forward, and he would listen to it. Now, that's not to say he's going to accept it, but if you presented something with power behind it, a poignant position, he would take it and say, okay, I can see where you're coming from, and I can work within that, and I don't have a problem with it. Because ultimately, he wants it to be fun. He wants you to have a good time.
Yeah.
And that was the point. He didn't want everybody to go, oh, I'm not coming back. He wanted everybody to go, yes, we had a little bit of kerfluffle here, but we've come out of it, and everybody's still moving, and we're having a good time.
Arguments are going to happen because it's a grouping of humans. But for the most part, you don't want your campaign to become Simon Says. It's happened before, and hopefully it'll happen never again, because at that point you lose sight of having fun. That's the main.
Right.
The game is supposed to be fun. It's a game. If you all get killed, okay, we make new characters. We try that again.
That's right. I've seen and heard instances where DMs had, somebody had a favorite character and they'd been playing that character for, in some cases, years. And the character, for whatever reason, got killed. And the DM is, and you can see the anguish for some of these players when they lose this long-time player. They've emotionally invested in this creation of theirs. And I've seen the DMs go, I just need you to kind of relax. And then the DM inevitably comes up with something. Oh, and you just happen to be in the depths of this dungeon
and you're
when suddenly
standing in water, electricity. Oh, you're dead. Look at that. No, I rolled it. You're dead.
And then the cleric will come in, and the DM will give them this great recovery. He says, well, your cleric walked around the corner, and there's the Book of All Healing. And they just happen to be able to read it, and we're going to bring you back, but you only have half of your hit points. It's going to take you 2 more days to recover completely. So, and those are the good ones. And then oftentimes they'll turn to you later and they'll say, do you know why you died? Because you were stupid. Now, next time, don't be stupid. And keep playing.
It's different. Okay. Your favorite players, a lot of the times, I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not, but, okay. Your favorite players are the guys that they're either the most powerful character in the entire party, or if they can't be that, they're the most obnoxious character in the entire party, which is a mixed bag, because on one hand, it's super fucking annoying, but on the other hand, it really challenges your skills as a DM. And these guys usually have a dramatic background. They've usually been in plays and drama and stuff since, 6th grade when you start doing drama.
Yeah. Well, and as long as they're interested in it for the sake of doing it, for having fun, that is the big part. If they're just there, I'm going to be a dick. Okay. No, you're not. I'm gonna take care of that problem.
You're totally right. But the problem is that oh my God, you're exactly. These guys always do their homework, and they know the positives and negatives of their characters and the bonuses and the restrictions, and that's why they're either the most powerful or the most obnoxious characters in the campaign. But this is it's a curse and a blessing. Because on one hand, seriously, dude, I've been reading up on all this other crap for a whole week, and now you're going to go 90. That's on me. Okay, now I got to wing it, and you're going to make fun of me because I don't know this monster, and oh, man, or whatever.
See, that's... I tried to be... When I play now, or when I played more recently, it becomes a matter that I try to play a character or build a character that I think I can have some fun with, but still be useful. So, not knowing what the adventure is going to be if we're starting anew, and then I try and pick something that, okay, can I have fun with this? So if I create if I create a barbarian character, can I create a barbarian? And if I do it right, and I create a barbarian, give him really great intelligence. I mean, just boost his intelligence, big, strong, all of those attributes, but maybe boost his intelligence or boost his
Yeah.
charisma or something like that. To really throw something in there that you can have fun with and you can have a good time. That's why the one time I played the little halfling, I loved playing the halfling because as we played through that whole routine, it became a matter of my catchphrase became Bob is helping every
Bob
time I
is
screwed up.
helping,
If
man.
I rolled a one, if I had a critical fail, then it was just all I had to do was say Bob is helping. My character
Yeah.
says Bob is helping, and and everybody understood. Oh, great,
I'm
you boned it.
I'm gonna let Willow do whatever she wants, but some really fun adventures are when the DM forces you to roll everything one time. Roll your age,
Yeah,
roll your weight, okay, your strength, just one time. Oh, you got a 2? Okay, dexterity one time. Oh, you got a 7? Okay. You're you know, that makes you use strategy a lot more than
yeah,
Hulk smash, which is also fun.
exactly. And that becomes a part of it.
Yeah.
If you can do it, it used to be interesting to play to get to
Yeah.
find, like you said, sometimes you have that buddy that's a character, just going to be a character, and they'll show up and they decide this time they're just going to play it off the cuff, wild, and have a good time. And those can be great. Those can be a really good time. Again, you've they've rolled up a character who's a bard, but it's a bard who has a mental condition who thinks he's something else, or whatever the case may be. But they're fun because they're out there
Uh,
having a good time. It's not the ubiquitous online gaming where everybody now wants to be, what was it, Leroy Jenkins, as they
Leroy
go chasing
Jenkins.
into the the one guy who runs into the room and he's going to take out all the baddies. Okay,
Dude, that's
not
great
how
if
this.
you're a barbarian, but for everyone else, dude, no. And then I tried to explain. The problem is that it's easy. Okay, Carson at work, who I just did a video with, we worked until 3 in the morning, and dude, I have other friends that play Warhammer 40K, but to be honest, I don't really know a lot about 40K. I know a lot about sword and sorcery. Uh, that because I think at one point our senior year, the Brisbane twins bought one of the books because Warhammer is basically English Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, with and Robotech combined. It's
Yeah, it's army based. So 40K is very much army based, and
I mean, you
Dungeons and
could do
Dragons
it
is
as
individual based.
he could do it as an individual. I mean, they have video games and all the other. He was showing me that
Yeah,
stuff,
but the
but it's
tabletopping,
more.
the whole
I'm gonna
purpose,
move my
yeah,
lance over here, and I'm gonna back it up with these guys. I'm gonna move my artillery there, and it's yeah.
exactly. And that it
Then we're gonna
is
get
a battlefield.
Napoleon.
Exactly. It's a full battlefield gaming system,
Yeah.
which I it would be interesting to try and pull together a D&D adventure of that type, but you would have to have so many DMs, so many more players, and then you'd have to have a god, because now you're bringing in characters that you're going to create units, and those units are going to have to operate and do their bit.
Yeah.
That would be one hell of an involved process. It could be done,
Yeah.
but you would have to have people who were really, really into that aspect of it to try and turn that into a unit based rather than an individual based system. The DM is the only one in Dungeons and Dragons that really gets to play unit based, and even then, it's the only time where, well, even in unit based, you get to do individual attacks. But yeah, you would have to do, if I have a group of 100 orcs going up against 20 characters in a party, everybody gets their shot,
Yeah.
and so now you've got this long involved process.
Well, no, like you said, it's like Lord of the Rings or the movie Willow or uh, so many others where your adventurer party is skirting around the war, and they may help take it. Your ranger may take a pot shot, or if you've got a paladin or a fighter that's really adept at bow, he'll take a couple shots. But for the most part, Fenrir agrees. For the most part,
Yeah,
they're just going to get the hell out of there because, dude, we're in danger.
exactly. It's small unit. It's small unit tactics, individual tactics, as opposed to an actual
Yeah.
full-on combat tactic simulation.
It's interesting because the same guy that I'm talking about was also, you look back and you're like, okay, favorite DMs. And when we were in our teens, he was the best DM, way better than me. And he's the one that kind of walked me through, like, okay, it's your turn. You're over here in this spot, and you've got this small platoon, and this is your objective. We've got this much time, so you've got to hurry up. Let's go. Okay, well, I'm going to move here, and I'm going to move this guy here, and I'm going to move this guy here. Meanwhile, we're, like, in the living room while everybody else is in my garage. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. Okay, and they roll dice. So it taught me how to do, like, military maneuvers for D&D type stuff because there's magic involved. They don't have that in the Army. And none of us, we were teenagers. We weren't in the Army yet. We were like 17 years old. But it kind of, when you're like, oh, wait, and suddenly it's, like I said, I joked about Napoleon, but it's not that far away because it's mass, like the
Oh yeah.
British did, what's it called? With
Oh,
lots.
Waterloo.
Well, no. The type of warfare where
Oh.
they're in columns and they just stand there and shoot each other.
Oh yeah.
The redcoats.
Always make the time.
Oh.
The open. Yeah. They're.
Meanwhile, the
unit
Indians are
based.
running around everywhere.
Yeah.
Holy crap! He came at us with a tomahawk. Well, you're just standing there. What do you expect?
Yeah. Or hey, these guys aren't standing in front of us. They're in the woods.
Yes.
They're hiding behind trees.
That's not honorable. They're ready to scalp you. They don't give honor to them is what they're doing.
That's right.
No, Carson gave me a full-on. I invited him to the show, definitely, because he has so many interests, and we went ghost hunting, and he wants to come over and do blacksmithing. But I knew that there were four main gods, the chaos gods, the blood for the blood god and all that stuff for 40K. But I don't, And again, perfect example. He and Dwayne's played role-playing games. Who got me the job at Tapatio Cliffs and was one of my artists when Worldwide Villain started. And he had never heard of Traveler either, even though Traveler's been around since 1977. I'm still curious about Traveler. I was like, I really want to play it. And the problem with any game that nobody plays that I really want to play, God damn it, I'm the DM. I don't want to DM this game. I want to play. Oh, well.
You have to find that group that's already playing it.
I know.
Those people who understand it enough to kind of bring you in. Somebody wants to go, well, I want to try DMing.
No.
I played the game for a couple of years. Cool, come here.
The problem is that I'd have to find people on the other side of the world because the problem is I'll find, like, a bunch of cool dudes in, like, Kansas City. When do you play? Oh, Thursday night or Friday night or Saturday night. God damn it, I'm at work. Hate these hours. Excuse me. I love my coworkers and the place is super haunted. Oh, so apparently everyone thinks it's crackheads, but apparently the dudes that they come frequently too, every couple months. They come to clean the grease traps, the vents over the big. So they do each restaurant, and then they go up to Depov, and they hate going up on the Depov because apparently one night one of the guys was up there He looked all around. There was nobody there. And then he heard somebody yell on the roof, "Get the fuck off the roof!" So we almost went there on Saturday, but stuff was going on. And then we got into a huge discussion about Warhammer 40K. And then I started telling him about Star Frontiers and Traveler and Shadowrun and things like that. And, and trying to get, because oh God, we're just totally suffering from my ADD. The reason for me pushing role-playing games on Willow is it opens up so many avenues. It teaches you math. It teaches you strategy. It teaches you paying attention and working in a group. You have to read if you want to know your character. You have to, do your homework, which is what I got to start doing now that I've been on this. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, wait, no, I really am only versed up to second edition. After that, feats. Hold on, let me look that up. Oh, yeah, this is like the superpowers you guys are all excited about.
Yeah. Feet, at the end of your legs. That's what they are.
Yeah, because I'm started playing in 81. To me, feats are cheating, because when does it end? If you're a thief and you have backstab and you attack a fighter and he has dodge, who wins? Does it come down to rolling, or does it come down to dungeon masters?
You have to do your saving throws.
Pretty much. But
you have to, yeah.
The problem,
it teaches order of operation.
Yeah.
In that case.
Unless you're going to be like, okay, here's all the second edition books, which I have. You've got to play 5th edition, so I have to modernize. And I'm a slow reader, so it takes me a while. Like, Ron already knows all the spells. So, like, okay. But it won't take me long to adapt, because most of them just changed, or they're the same, or here's all the new ones. Oh, okay. And I tried to explain to Chip and Willow how the magic works, and sorcerers versus wizards versus warlocks, and how it's just a piece of the spell in your mind, and then as soon as you do the rest, now you got to rememorize it, but you have to wait and rest. And so, I mean, they're because they play first-player video games, it's easier. It's easier for people to understand Dungeons & Dragons now because of all the video games than it has been ever in the 90s and 80s, because some people played video games. Most heard about them.
And they were much scaled down at that time. You had Pac-Man, you had Centipede, you had Galaga, you had Galaxian. All these, that was fine.
Yeah, those are fun, but if they hadn't played, you're right, if they hadn't played Wizardry or Ultima or what's the other one from way back when?
And they didn't understand. There was no understanding that you are the character. You are the one. This is a first-person experience. In those games, it was this is a television program. I'm on the outside looking in. I can manipulate a character through this adventure that I'm looking at, but they didn't have that same linkage, not quite the same as them getting to play these first-person shooters where, okay, no, I am the Master Chief, I am the Sergeant, I am whatever, and I'm going through each of these adventures doing the attacks, doing the tactics, doing the things, but it's single-person tactics. I'm not able to govern any other group. It's just me, and I have to figure out where I'm going from here to there. That's the only problem you run into with the first-person shooter crowd, bringing them into the tabletop first-person circumstances, are now they have to understand that, okay, you are now the probability engine. The computer game had the probability engine built in for you. You pushed a sequence of buttons, and an action took place after the PC or the processor had the opportunity to run the probability for you, or to pull the random generators pull the numbers and say, yes, this did hit, no, this did not. It's more of a probability, but now I'm getting geeky on that end of it. But for the tabletop folks, it is that much more random for them. It
Yeah.
becomes more difficult for some of them to accept. But I'm right here. Yeah, but the idea is that this is a probability, but you're running it. We're introducing a greater amount of randomness to your probability scores here because you're rolling dice, because you're rolling a die with 20 flat sides to it.
Mm.
And you're rolling it on an uneven surface. And you're
Dodecahedron.
doing it. Yeah, and you're doing it with a different amount of gusto each time, or the dice tower. You happen to drop it with the 20th side
Just right,
facing down
Stella.
first this
Just
time.
right.
So that's where some of these folks have more difficulty. But they pick it up. If they enjoy the gameplay, the aspect of it, then that becomes a secondary concern and they don't have any problem. Then they become the addicted, where they suddenly show up and they have a 4x6x8 inch box that's filled with dice.
Yes.
Because now I've rolled this dice. Well, that die didn't give me good numbers. I'm going to take a different die. I'm going to use that
I
one
don't
on my
like
next time.
those. I like these. I don't like the color, but they roll really well. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what happens. I mean, in the beginning, Christine was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And then, a week in, do you think we could start earlier? 2 weeks in, do you think we could play 2 nights? It's up to you. I would play every night if I could get away with it. Well, maybe not every night. I mean, I need a break, too.
The other fun thing is when you get a group together that you can have fun with. And I think that's where a lot of folks have come to the game now or returned to the game is watching some of the YouTube adventure channels where you've got these groups that gel well together. They play and they have a good time. But a part of that, and something that you don't see, at least on the ones that I've seen, you get to see 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, maybe 2 or 3 hours of them playing.
Yeah.
But when you have a whole hard campaign going and you have an adventure where you've got 10 people in the house, you've got 9 players and the dungeon master, or 8 players and the DM and the DM's wife. And at 4.5 hours in, everybody's like, okay, we're going to step away. We're going to take a break because I'm putting hot dogs and hamburgers on the barbecue grill. And my wife has got the potato salad.
No. We're
bringing
not
out.
taking any breaks. There's no time for that. We're ordering
And we're going to
pizza.
have ourselves a good
Sorry,
time.
Stella.
And then we're going to come back all refreshed, but looking to fall asleep because we're fat and happy. And we're going to play the next 2 hours.
Yeah, it's the problem is you need a good DM that for the first time and that hooks you. You need somebody. All the successful, Matt Mercer and all the other guys. I mean, they're really good. They get into it. They have a passion for it. Got to recapture that with Willow. Well, I'm going to talk to Beth and Chip and Willow and see if they want to record it because I'd really like to, but I'm not just going to record it. I want their permission.
And that could be fun. I think they would enjoy it. I think they would have a good time with it. And I know that it would go over well to be broadcast, to be shared, because people would enjoy watching it. And then you're going to end up with, you're always going to end up with those, with the players, with those turds that are going to comment because you didn't do it right. This is, or you should go this way. The nice thing about it is they can comment all they like.
10.
And
What do you want?
Well, and you just, it's kind of like what I do with Facebook anymore. If somebody puts a comment in, scroll past. I don't need to exchange with this person. I have learned who you are through the words you have chosen.
The internet is the great digital masquerade, and especially Facebook, which I love irritating so because I'm a troll and I don't give a shit. But that's playing a troll in Shadowrun is fun because up to a certain caliber, you're essentially bulletproof. When your gun does 8 damage, but the troll's body is 12, get a bigger gun, dude. Just run. Just go get some magic or a bigger gun.
The
So,
one thing I always wanted to be able to do playing D&D, and I never got to that, but I always thought it would be fun to take a very high level character. You have a very high level character wizard or a high level character paladin or something like that, and take that character and, with the DM's approval, show up to a low level starting group in disguise. I mean, you show up, you've got a 10th level fighter or a 10th level paladin, you've got a group of first, second level folks. You show up in disguise, and the intent is that you're there to play as much to help them along as to inspire the miracle. So the fact that you can go in and, well, I'm going to go ahead. Oh yeah, hey, oh, you're going to do that. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do this, which is my first level action or second level action. Roll my dice, and then you can decide whether or not you're going to throw an added component in there. But you work with the DM so the DM knows that's your intent, and the two of you can help to foster some of that and help to bring some folks along and give them some joy.
yeah,
Ron was good about that when we were all playing at Paul's. He
yeah,
would help. He would reach over. He'd look at Hannah and say, "Well, you could try this."
yeah. Well, I mean,
I mean that
wisdom comes at the cost of failure. That
exactly.
this is known.
But it becomes, it would be fun, and you could have a really good time. And the other thing that might be interesting is, if the DM allowed it, and the team, your crowd happens to bypass an area where the DM had a boss, and they really wanted the boss to come back. You get the opportunity as the force multiplier
Yeah.
in the group to be able to protect the group a little bit and keep them moving. Oh gosh, this guy's pretty powerful. You guys better hurry up and go around the corner. I got the back.
Yeah.
I'll cover our escape. And so then you
I
look
mean,
at the DM. I'm gonna throw the 10th level. Fuck you.
that
We're gonna
that
get around.
that's the thing too about like killing a character and then just like dragging their body back to a temple. If they sacrifice themselves and it is a honestly noble death, you're a lot more lenient. It's not going to
Yep.
cost as much to bring them back. Because you can bring them back, it's just going to cost a lot of gold because you have to deal with gods. And they don't give up souls lightly because, well, they're fuel, aren't they?
Yeah. So
But
it's just
can I bring up Dwayne and Carson and I have a theory. Okay, so Warhammer 40K is English D&D with more focus on strategy with numbers rather than. And then he showed me the Xenomorph Nightmare and all. Oh God, the more you hear about Warhammer 40K, you're like, no wonder Cavill and his brothers are all into this. This is fucking awesome. It's the stuff of nightmares. When can we start playing? So the problem with that is you have to buy all the miniatures or create them. Okay, these Monopoly characters are my cavalry, and then this is it. Yeah. I've got these guys out of a vending machine. They're like 50 cents a piece. So they're my artillery. I'm okay with
yep.
that. But I'm okay with that, but a lot of other people aren't.
No, and you're thousands of dollars into the armies.
I don't have.
The cork was it the Fork and Board, which is
Fallout.
up the street. Up the street from me is a place called the Fork and Board at 19th Avenue in Bell.
Mm-hmm.
It is a giant gamer store with a restaurant inside. And they have huge tables, and they are a 40K. They're a 40K house.
Mm-hmm.
And they have got all of the different versions of 40K. So 40K exists across thousands of generations. So now you've got the newest space ones, and you got
These
the oldest ones that
guys
are
and
so it's really interesting
yeah.
to look at. I took my son there because we used to play Hordes, which is kind of an American version of what some of the 40K stuff would be. It's a great gaming system. I really enjoyed it. I took to it because I like the miniatures. My boys took to it because it was small unit tactics that they could understand. So they enjoyed doing that. They loved to build the figures. They didn't do the painting as much. They liked to have Dad do the painting. They would go out and blow stuff up and have a field day. So I took my youngest boy, Zach, over there. We were looking around. He was looking at all of the 40K stuff. And he picked up one unit pack, and it was like $130. And he said, "Oh my God." I said, "Yep. 40K is notorious for being more expensive for a unit. That being said,
We're gonna get a
with
3D
that,
printer.
I look at him and said, with that unit character set right there, you can jump in, and you are ready to hit the ground running. With Hordes, usually you ended up picking up 3 or 4 small units, so you would end up spending almost the same amount of money to build up an army to play. But that was a part of the overall process. Now the other thing that came with it is the fact that you weren't necessarily leveling up, but you were adding to your army. And each time you played, unless you played a large campaign, each time you came back to the table, your army returned with you to the table. So your character didn't die forever. My favorite 20th level bard was incinerated in the Great Volcano. So a lot of players won't bring that character back. They'll create a new one. Some will take it and say, well, we're going to play a new campaign. I'll save him for another campaign, bring him back.
That's allowed.
But in 40K and Hordes and some of these the unit tactics, your war is over. Your game is over unless you're playing a long campaign with somebody where you're leaving all of your pieces on a battlefield. But you do one skirmish is over, you take your pieces off of the board, and now you go to play again. All of your army is back. All of your characters, all of your pieces are back. Yeah. In those games, the only way you end up with single characters that you're playing, that you're controlling, is when you have generals or demigods, things like that. So then if you're playing against somebody who has demigods, you have demigods, generals, and whatnot, then they have additional strengths and characteristics that they can. So that always made it interesting.
There's 12, begins with a P. Where's Carson? He knows all of this stuff.
Well, the thing that I enjoyed about it, for me, I used to be really bad about kit bashing as a model maker. So when I could start picking up people's unused Star Trek model kits, I used to kit bash all of the different fleet operations vessels that you could find in the old Star Trek Starfleet manuals. So long before we even had Next Generation and all the rest of that, I had the old Starfleet manuals, and I had the Starfleet blueprints, and I had all of that stuff. And they had blueprints in there for all sorts of different vessels that never showed up in the original series. They showed up in the books, they showed up in the comic books, things like that. So when I could start going to these model swap meets and say somebody'd have old Star Trek model kits, whatnot, partially built, this one got damaged, that happened. I would love to take those home and kit bash them together, make the Dreadnought class and make the Scout class and make all the other ones. Yeah. Because that was fun for me. When I went and started doing the tabletop stuff, Dungeons and Dragons, it was a little more difficult to kit bash the figures because most of the figures were single pieces. until you started buying larger characters. You bought the Blue Dragon, you bought this, that, or the other. It was multi-piece. But they became a little more difficult to kit bash. You could add things to the base, but you couldn't necessarily kit bash. With a lot of the 40K, more so with the Hordes and the Get a Fenris and stuff like that, you could buy 10 boxes and start kit bashing the pieces together and make something different. And it wasn't necessarily something you had a player card for or a unit card for playing on the field, but you could sit and use it, paint it, create it into something, and have a good time with it. So for me, it became interesting to take all of my pieces that were the steampunk style, that they had the fire engine and whatnot in them, and they had smoke. And so I would, the old classics, get the cotton balls out, start making smoke come out, paint them up, do whatever I needed to do so that I could make them a little more realistic and then put them on the table and you'd have a good time.
Yeah. Miniatures are the best, but if you can afford to get miniatures, do it. If you have to make do it. Your players don't really give a shit if you went out and spent either $300 on miniatures or you're broke and you stole a bunch of copy paper at work and you cut up squares and stuff. Okay, this is 50 dudes. This is 50 dudes. That your players don't care. They really don't care. They want to play.
Yep, and original D&D, you didn't have a miniature. You went and got a miniature as your avatar, as it would be claimed now. But this is my character because I went and bought it and I paid $2 for it and I painted it and I'm real proud of this damn thing and I would play it.
Yeah.
But then in the early days, we bought graph paper so that we could, as the dungeon master was telling us, you drew the map and you identified where you were. All your buddies hung around, you looked at it, traced out where you were, what you were doing. So it only later became the fashion where you could buy the map. I remember the map mats. You could buy 3x5 foot map mats that you could put onto a table, and then you put the dry erase markers, and the DM could build it. And it went that way. It developed that. You remember dungeon tiles? They were the cards that you could get, and you just laid them up.
Don't go that far forward. I remember when Dungeons and Dragons Lankmere, which was Fafard and the Grey Mouser, came out, and I couldn't afford it because it was based on the book series, which I had never read and still haven't read. And but it came with maps and city mini maps, and yeah, it had its own lore and everything, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, maps. So I used that as a blank. I've been using that as a blank template since the early 90s because I found a copy of it in the clearance rack, and I still have it to this day. It's in my D.
That was the greatest thing about places like Booklands, and when you could go to
Half-Price Books right there next to Target at PB Mall.
Oh, yeah. We go to Half-Price. You go, well, I mean, I remember going to Bookman's because I could get somebody's used books because they went and got rid of them all. Go down there and buy them for literally pennies on the dollar.
Yeah,
we'd go up to Flagstaff and you would go through there, or you would go to, there was another, Zia's was another one where you could go in and find all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because people would trade it in, or you could go in there and you would buy up old dungeon sets because you could go in there and somebody had bought the old TSR modules. You go in there and say, "Oh shit, I want this one."
And then they never used them,
or they used them and played them, and their group didn't want to play them anymore. So they would go in and they'd trade them in. Go get another one. Good time. That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
I found that most of that stuff is online.
Yeah.
And people have got the PDFs out there. I think that's wonderful. It's great that People have got them out there. I understand the concern with copyright, and oh my God, you're giving away somebody else's work for free. Uh, a number of the ones that I have seen that I had greatest interest in were ones that are out of print, so you can find them online because somebody shared, because somebody like us said, oh, remember the Turtle Island. Oh shit, yeah, I want. You can't buy that. Oh look, this guy's got it up on. I can find it on eBay, or this guy's got a PDF of it so that I can go ahead and pull it down.
Figure it.
We can play this.
Yeah. Well, a little while ago, I got crazy, and I tracked down. I didn't get any of the the Space Odyssey ones for Star Frontiers, but I got all the old modules because I that, and I always wanted the Nighthawk's box, because if you have Alpha Dawn for Star Frontiers, that's just how to play the game. And once they play tested it, they realized, oh yeah, we should probably put Starship Combat in the space game. That would help. Oh, excuse me. So you had to.
I was. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I remember when I got Star Frontiers, and I got it because I had played Dungeons and Dragons at my mother's house, and she saw it because the original D&D stuff that I got Radio Shack, because they had a rack of the at the Radio Shack, all the modules, boxes. Then we went to Toys by Roy, Metro Center. They had all the books and stuff. Later on, the bookstores started picking up all of this stuff, so you could pick up more of it. But my mother saw that it was made by the same out. She said, "Would you like this one?" I don't know. I've never played it. We picked it up. The problem was that all the kids that I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with, really, we were all still novice level. And we've been playing for a few years, but we were all novices. None of us was really ready to make that leap into Starfront. It was different enough that we all looked at it and we could, okay, but I know about this character, but I don't know about this race. I don't know about this type of, but I don't understand this.
Yeah.
And it was before the spaceship battle came. So we were like, okay, well, I have to relearn all of this, or I know all of this. And so we would dabble over here, but we stayed up. Yeah. That was kind of the disappointment.
It sucks, because all from our life so far, all the games I really want to play, it's either fleeting moments or, oh, I got everybody excited about this, and now I have to DM. And then now they don't like it, because I'm frustrated because I want to play, I don't want to DM, so now the campaign sucks. Damn it! This is a self-perpetuating prophecy, or self-fulfilling, you know what I mean?
And it becomes hard to be a DM, try to play NPC as if they're your own character, because you're doing both. Now you're basically you're arguing with yourself at that point.
Yeah, you really are. No, yes. Well, like DM Rob was saying, no, I don't want to play. I want to DM. I get that, dude, but I'm always forced to DM. So don't you get tired of knowing what's next? No, I enjoy how people do. And now and then players challenge him, because for me in Starfinder, yeah, adventure. Anyway, building a spaceship. Spaceship! So I'm basically Benny in Lego Movie. Spaceship! In a space game, yeah.
Rob is Rob enjoys spinning the tale, but also being that, and I don't want to say that it's going to sound like I'm saying he's got a complex, but he likes being that God role where he's not completely omnipotent. He doesn't know everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And like you said, he enjoys rolling with it because he's come up with an idea. He's got a thought in his head. I'm going to try and steer them this direction. But he likes to build it up. Okay, if they go this way, I've got this. If they go that way, I've got this. If they don't go either of those ways, I've got a few things in reserve. He likes that larger scale. He likes to see that whole thing and all the options, watch it
Yeah.
play out. I take him as one of the guys that really enjoyed as a kid the uh, write your own tale.
Being the
Remember when you could,
banker in Monopoly?
well, you could read the book, and the book had an option. You chose an option, it told you go to the next this page, and that was how you. And he enjoyed being able to kind of go through those types of tales. Where there's an opportunity, and I can come back to it later, and I can read it. And I went this way before, now I can go this way, and it's going to be different. So
Paul,
that was huge.
yeah. Paul constantly raved about Rob. Rob's always been his favorite DM. Rob's the best DM. And then playing with Rob, you were there. He's a great DM. My hat's off to him. I don't. Rating DMs is like rating beauty, dude. No, don't ask. Don't ask me that. Everybody's beautiful. Everybody's a great DM. Sorry, go ahead.
You are the tale. You are the story.
Well, that you're throwing me into this ointment, and that's not.
Well, no. The reason why I'm saying this is you like to tell the tale, but you tend to your tales tend to spin in a direction that you have a general outline in your mind.
Yes.
You don't have it written down necessarily, but you have a general outline in your mind, and you have directions that you can take it. But usually, you understand. I'm looking to go from here to here. Now, everything that happens between those 2 points is fluid, but we are going this direction. I'm not necessarily going to get here. Ooh, bright, shiny. We're going to go off in a far distant direction.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where you have some difficulty sometimes with the DMing because you built this tale. You know you want to go from here to there. And you have an opening for people to go in certain directions and to give leeway, but ultimately the end goal is over here. And you end up, inevitably, somebody is going to throw you a loop, regardless of whether they intended to, or you're sitting there thinking, where did you come up with this? Great, okay. You've thrown me something I couldn't have possibly conceived of.
I'm going to need a minute. Hold on. Okay, let's move forward. That's the same guy that Ron and I played with and multiple others is the same guy that, dude, never write a story, write an outline. They're never going to do what you want. Do I ever do what you want? Oh my God, absolutely fucking not. You have taught me that making a story is fucking pointless because if you're not going 90-degree angles with everything I created, you're attacking a city before I've even gotten ready to defend it. You're like, you know, I don't want to play chess with you because I know I'm going to lose, but I really need to play chess with you so I can lose, so I can see what I'm doing wrong. Yeah.
So I can learn all the possible permutations that you have come up with in your mind and that you play off the cuff.
Ray Grace went to school with Guy and Ron and I, and he was just the most phenomenal player, phenomenal DM. Ray would go around to existing shops back in the day in the 80s and just play with anybody and just join groups. And that taught him that, like, it was almost like, oh, God, Derry. Because now he doesn't even want to, he's, you know, he's over that. And I'm never going to bring it up again. Anyway, awesome guy.
But those can be interesting. It's fun to pull people like that into a game if you're prepared for it.
Well, that and
if you're ready.
You you use them mentally as a guideline for story writing, where it's like nothing is going to make sense in 20 minutes, so I better be ready to react to that. Or he's going, or even worse, the character has been curtailed to how he's, working this, and then as soon as the dice comes out, oh man, I'm going to lose. Okay, I need to have a backup plan.
Exactly. And they make it interesting. Those are the ones that challenge you. And if you're looking for the challenge, those are the people that you invite on intentionally, because
Yeah.
you know that they're going to draw you into that. If you're not looking for that challenge, those are the people that you hold in reserve for other games, other campaigns. And this particular campaign, I'm looking for
Yeah.
Willow. I'm looking for my son
Man,
Zachary, the newbies, the people who've
it's
never played.
yeah.
You know,
It's one thing to have to guide a 10-year-old through a game. It's another thing to have to guide like a 20-year-old through a game after you've been playing for a couple years and being like, dude, why are you still doing like the stupidest things? It's like you're playing a wizard like a fighter, and then when you do play a fighter, it's like you actually do a good job, but you don't want to play a fighter. You want to play a wizard. Maybe you should play a fighter magic user. I don't know. I don't know what's
let
going
me
on.
look at this. Well, let's make you a paladin,
Oh my
or
God,
let's
no.
make you a cleric. You
Yeah.
could do a lot as a cleric because now you get to be a fighter and you can wear armor,
I just
but
killed.
you also have some magic.
I just killed this guy. So many. They were brothers, and it was the younger brother, and he didn't. As far as the strategy of picking out spells, he did very well. As far as like the actual mechanics of playing the game, dude, what are you doing? Stop running into fire. You're a squishy. You're a squishy, squish, squishy. You're the squishiest in the party. You're like squishy. So,
Yeah.
I like one time they had to rush him to the hospital because the main bad guy put his symbol on these double doors. So all the fighters are sitting there, and of course he turns around the corner, he rolls dice, he immediately tries to open the door. They're like, "No!" And too late.
Yeah.
What happens? Well, you're full of bullets now. You're going to the hospital.
You've
They
been hurt.
need to remove the bullets. It's very important that you take your
You
vitamins.
have, let's say, you are suffering from lead poisoning. And at
And
this point,
you're fighting this very viral disease. What is it? Well, it's called death.
it's, it's, it's spread by lead and it's a problem.
Luckily, you have a platinum dockwagon contract. It was Shadowrun. Luckily, you have a platinum dockwagon contract, so you might actually be able to recover from this thing called death. But everybody is in the party is super mad at you now because, well, you're the caster, and now they have to pay for magical healing because at the hospital because, well, you're dead, aren't you?
You went
Dude,
Leroy Jenkins.
yeah, this was like 20 years before Leroy Jenkins. This was like the early 90s. Leroy Jenkins wasn't a thing yet, but the spirit of
It
Leroy
was,
Jenkins.
that's what I say, it was always a thing. It didn't have a name.
I'm guilty myself in my younger years doing. I still do that now. What am I talking about? I do that in video games. There's plenty of proof of that on my channel, on not just here on Twitch, but also on YouTube and everything. I just started posting I all of a sudden I realized, oh wow, I haven't posted any video games since March.
Yeah.
The problem is that when you can set up OBS to not only stream but also record, so I should probably post those and put them on the portable hard drive. And well, Newegg was having a sale. I bought 2 giant terabyte drives, so I need to put those in. I need a new saving money.
You need to That reminds me, there's very nice young lady that I have been watching of late,
Hmm.
whose screen name is Refashion Hippie. And the reason I got hooked on it is because she was doing these little shorts where she would do things like, stupid rich people fashion. And what is this? And I hate it. Things like that, where she would show
What
some of
is
the most
this?
outlandish outfits at these fashion things, and then she would give her commentary. And she had some good commentaries. Then she started doing things where she would show them, and she would, as she got bigger,
Hmm.
uh, she had more followers. It was
Oh,
interesting because
okay.
then she would
Hopefully
do
she got
live
bigger.
reviews of these things, and her followers would give her their impressions, and she would share them as they're going through. And she would openly say, "You guys write some of the best comedy material that I will ever say. So please keep it going." And so, it plays off really well. But part of what she does, she has a couple of little shorts that she does that are aptly named Googling on Gums. So she will be tripping. She'll be having her gummies, and she'll be Googling things, and she will Google the most off base things. And she is, you can tell that she is feeling no pain,
Yeah.
and she is commenting on these things. The other ones that she does is she will live stream and record like you do with her game. And
Hmm.
sometimes she's playing straight, sometimes she's playing on gummies. And that gets very interesting at times. So,
Paul is the
um,
one that started a day without dope is like a day without sunshine. So he's to blame for that. But
so it was interesting to
it,
see those things.
yeah, like Christine said, you're actually more nuts when you're not high. So go ahead, jeez. Oh my god. So wish I had started this in high school. But my mom made me afraid of my dad, and then when I got older, I found out that my mom was the one with the problem. My dad doesn't give a shit. He was in a band. What does that tell you?
My dad was, my mom used to, she had done her fair share in the 60s
Mm,
of marijuana. My father, of course, had spent an exorbitant amount of time, a lot of different places, including Vietnam, with special operations.
yeah.
So, of course, if he did not necessarily imbibe in it, he knew that it was taking place. The difference for him was in many of those circumstances, he was the old man. So,
Yeah.
he couldn't necessarily be too far into that, but he was also the guy that, you know, my job is to take care of my guys.
Yeah.
And I make sure that my guys are safe. Now, if they're doing this, all right, here's how we're going to deal with you doing it.
You
You're not
four,
going to do this when I need you here.
you're off. You can do it. You're on. Absolutely. Well, it. I don't know. Anyway, back to Dungeons and Dragons. Another Gamma World, Dungeons and Dragons, Boot Hill, Gangbusters, Marvel Superheroes, Top Secret. All of these TSR, what am I, besides Star Frontiers is in its own category. So which one am I? I think I mentioned them all. I'm pretty
I think
sure
you
I
got
did.
all the ones that I can remember. Boot Hill was the one I wanted and never got to play because nobody would play it.
Don't worry, I downloaded the book and all of the modules. We'll figure it out and we'll stream it live. These games are awesome. They're fun. They're amazing. But they're the modern day video. They're what became the modern day video game. There, is that better? Is that more eloquent?
First time I heard of Red Dead Redemption,
All you can
what
think of is
image popped into my head?
Boot Hill.
Boot Hill.
Boot Hill. It's Boot Hill. It is. It's Boot Hill. Same thing as Fallout, Half Life, Wasteland, all that. Gamma World. They're Gamma World. It's Gamma World. Post apocalyptic hellscape. It's Gamma World. All over America and the world, Gamma World. So these modules are go into town, get the mission, go to the mission, kill all the stuff, get, fix, find, solve, who the hell is that? Save, finish the mission, excuse me, detour, go back to town, and then get reward. It's
Yep.
boom, 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 boom. These are awesome. I love them. I will play them until I can no longer draw breath. Star Frontiers is different, and I was explaining this to the guys at work to Dwayne and Carson and I were having a full-on conversation about it because Traveler is the known universe. Star Wars is Star Wars. It's pretty defined. Same as Star Trek, same as Farscape and Firefly and Men in Black and Space 1999 and Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek and am I forgetting any?
No, because every one of those was a tabletop game.
Yeah. Oh, they are. I
Aliens.
Have books. I can show you. Aliens, yeah. Predator, Traveler. I have the Traveler 2300 boxes, but we played it like once or twice, but we were teenagers. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. So, or Paranoia. Now that we played a lot. Oh my god, that's the most fun game ever, but that can turn friends into enemies just like that. Anyway, because it's like Paranoia is Among Us with a malfunctioning computer and mutant powers and secret societies. How about that? But with all of the sci-fi, I'm surprised Paranoia hasn't become like a television show. That would be just so insane. We should write it and pitch it and see what they say. So, Star Frontiers is different. It's open. There are not really defined sectors of space. They leave it up to the DM to come up with the entire galaxy. And that was intimidating. And it is.
Yeah.
You've got to come up with all this Vrusk history and Vrusk stuff, and then the Azarians and the Dralazites, and then the humans, and then there's the Sathar. But then when you get to the Outer Rims, there's like space dwarves, kangaroo people, robot people. There's like 3 other races.
It started out there was only 5 races.
4.
When you first when you first cracked the book, you had a limited number of races, and they didn't have a lot of modules that were available. The box came with one story and some basic things to flesh it out.
Really, yeah.
But beyond that, it was not ready for when it was brought to the market. It was not ready for the market it was walking into because it was coming in on the tail of Dungeons and Dragons and these other long-lived ideas that had been fleshed out, had been played out to a certain extent. So now it was back to this was D&D version 1. Okay, here you go. Good luck.
Yeah. I can run in the other room and I can grab all of both box sets and all the modules if you want me to, but for a lot of them actually, because I bought Gangbusters and I didn't get Boot Hill. But you can buy them in hardback off of, not an affiliate, but big fan. Drivethrough.com. They're reprinting everything. I think that's where you can get Traveler. I'm very hesitant in buying new games because I bought fucking Starfinder. Nobody wants to play it. I'm hoping Rob still wants to DM it. I thought I was doing good with Rob because you were going along with me. Paul was getting frustrated. I think, what was the other guy's name? Dan? He was getting a little annoyed, but dude, if you're going to put me in a space game, I'm going to do my best to become an engineer, and I want to build spaceships and like land and air vehicles that are going to do good to the party. being a bounty hunter in space, like the Mandalorian and stuff like that, that's what Cookie was a Star Wars encyclopedia. Michael Lloyd Chapman is no longer with us. And he was at the Renaissance Festival. He did haunted houses. His father stormed the beach at Normandy and made it all the way to Germany. So, but here and there. He says, I don't know. There's technicians and repair guys. No, dude, I will sacrifice all of the combat and whatever you want me. I don't give a crap about that. I want to build spaceships. I want to make spaceships more awesome than they are. I want to salvage and scavenge stuff. So, well, the first time we played, there is a point in the first movie, A New Hope, in the 70s, when they're in the cantina, and there's a werewolf character with glowing red eyes that you can only see in the shadow. And though the race is called Defel, and they have huge predators, so they evolved to having ultraviolet fur. So if they stand perfectly still in the shadows, they're invisible until they open their eyes. So I played one of those at first, and that campaign fell apart. And then the second campaign, I played a tech that was like the little squirrel guy that's begging for a drink. And he's not a Jawa, but he's actually a rodent-looking. They're a prominent race. And then after a while, he's like, I read this one book, and I think the race that would be the race that suits what you want to do best would be the Given. And they look like skeletons, and their planet loses its atmosphere, so they have their own built-in. You can basically exist in the vacuum of space for half an hour before you're in trouble, and then you have to get inside because they're used to their atmosphere disappearing on their planet because it's so erratic. But their religion is mathematics, and they make the greatest engineers. They're basically redesigning spaceships now that the Empire discovered them. And I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? Because I don't even want to, I don't even want to. Oh, go. Sorry.
I was kind of like the Mentat. I'm just making a connection to the Mentats from Dune, who
yes,
they took the spice, but they spoke in math.
Numbers.
That was it. That was how they spoke. Yeah.
So I was absolutely useless in a fight, and I wasn't the main pilot, but I'm not interested in fighting. I want to go to the junkyard when we land somewhere. Why do you want to go to the junkyard? Okay, roll what vehicles are there, Cookie. Oh, well, you got this, and you got that, and you got that. Okay, what's that one? What's the third one you said? Well, it's like it's kind of like a snow speeder, only, in Jabba the Hutt, it's like one of the things the guys were riding on, only twice the size. Okay. I'm going to put a huge engine in that and bigger repulsor lifts, and then I'm going to put, so I would basically do what I want to do in real life, find junk and engineer it. But on not for, hey guys, let's get this little lady back on the road. More for, how can we use this to find and conquer bounties and get money, and because bounty hunting fueled it's very lucrative when you're going after very dangerous prey.
Yep.
And if you have to go find the guy in the middle of nowhere in the far part of the galaxy, he's not just hanging out. The dude's hiding. And he's using an alias. You have to figure it all out.
Yep. That's why I kept pushing when we were playing Star Frontiers that my personal spacecraft is going to be a 1966 Volkswagen Safari van with hyperdrive.
That's
That's
the
what I wanted.
yeah. The big theory question is, are the humans from Earth in Star Frontiers, or is it a close by galaxy? Because the problem is that you can't use human slang if they're not from. You can't use Earth slang if they're not from Earth. I said that wrong.
Right.
Sorry.
So what's the time frame? Is it thousands of years, tens of thousands of years in the future?
Yeah,
And so humanity has spread like the virus that it is
it
across
is.
the galaxy.
Well, we meet the Vrusk first, and then the Vrusk introduce us to the Dralazites, and then later we meet the Yazarians. But the Vrusk are kind of like Vulcans, but they're more business and entrepreneurial, and they're more they're like Vulcans in the sense that they're into self uh, betterment, but also they're into business and education and things like that. Where the
They're
Dralazites,
Ferengis with morals.
the what?
They're Ferengis with morals.
Oh, that's even better. Okay, I'm done on that one. Well, excuse me. The Dralazites are they're giant amoebas. They can have multiple limbs depending on their dexterity rating, and they're they're really into comedy. They love their own comedy. They love human comedy. They don't have lungs. They speak by using a kind of like a gas bladder, so they don't always realize when they're whispering or screaming. Ah! Why are you yelling? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, oops.
I'm new at this. They self-replicate, so all of a sudden, if you don't take your hormones, there's another version of you on your shoulder in the middle of the mission. Oh no, I have a baby. I
What
don't
are you
know.
doing? I'm creating an army. Give me a minute.
Hold on, Glorp is busy. But the Yazarians, they describe them as Klingons. They're a noble, savage warrior race that are bent on honor and disrespect. And they're also incredibly nocturnal. They have to wear goggles. They have the membrane. They're from a low gravity world, so they're tall and withery, and they can glide on low.
Yeah,
Well,
they
they
were
can't.
the images, the pictures on the original box art was they were flying monkeys without the really cool uniform.
Yeah, pretty much with the wings
With
in addition.
with much more strength and intelligence and attitude.
More aerodynamic.
That's right.
But they're kind of they can't use their gliding power on high gravity worlds. They sunny worlds. If they don't have their goggles, they're fucked. Um, then is what you were talking about is the bad guys, and we were talking. I was explaining all this on Saturday. The Sathar are the bad guys. They're like worm people with arms and legs, but they're huge. Aren't they like 2.5 meters, like 3 meters?
Yeah, they
They're
were
really big.
gigantic,
Yeah,
and so they did not have the capacity to pick up on your ass.
they can't be captured. They kill themselves before they get captured. They blow themselves up. They have a double pupil. So if they capture people, they have the innate ability to hypnotize humans, Dralazites, Brusks, and Yazarians, and they end up escaping. And everybody's like, wait, what happened? Where'd he go? Motherfucker, we just had it. Hello, come in, Central. Because you're basically, aren't you working for the Pan Galactic Mining Corps? You're like a detective in the game, the way they have it set
Yeah,
up.
you're supposed to be working for the corporation, or you have some ties. You can be a rogue group,
Eventually.
but ultimately, the only way you make any money is you have to do something for them. Either you work for them, or you pick up side missions for them, or whatever the case may be. But that's where the money is.
It's it's one of the more underrated games that never was really given a chance because they wanted Gamma World is straightforward. It's even more simplified now. It's like a board game, disgustingly so. Uh, Superheroes, well, Spider-Man and the Hulk and all the, and you play in New York in most of the missions, so you know whose territory is whose. If you've read up on your comics, Gangbusters, well, which city do you want to play in the 1920s?
Yeah,
Chicago, New
it's
York.
all 1920. You could be anywhere in the country. You could
Yeah,
be anywhere in the world in the 1920s if you wanted to, but it was 1920, so it was going to be that idea.
yeah,
Even if you wanted to play in Paris, you were going to be in Paris. You were going to be doing smuggling. You were going to be running booze. You were going to be some kind of nefarious.
yeah.
That was
And
very,
I mean, like you
very
said,
direct.
you can do the other side. It's called Gangbusters, and you're supposed to be, with Elliot Ness and all that stuff. But you could do a gang boss thing. It's the same thing, like
Yeah,
in Shadowrun, I still think, and Ray was actually the one that said it first. He's like, I'd really love to do a dock wagon crew, platinum, where you have to shoot the cops in order to get the guys that are paying you $1 million, a million new yen a year to pull you out of the shit and just get them back to the thing, and then you got to go get somebody else. It's like boom, 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 boom. Dock wagon is constantly working, and depending on how much money you pay is depending how much shit they'll go through
I
to go get you.
you mentioned that, and that was something that I had thought about all those years ago when I was doing it for a living.
Mm.
Was a game. If you had that kind of a game, you couldn't find people, I don't think, that would be interested in it. But the game where you get tabletop as a medic squad, you get to go out and be medic squad somewhere. The
Yeah,
problem is to make it enjoyable, to make it interesting for most people, you would have to play it off like Mother Jugs and Speed
or
or
mash.
Bringing Out the Dead. You'd have to have more of a comedic aspect to it that you could play
Yeah.
to make it interesting for people to be involved in.
Well, from everything that Carson was telling me about Warhammer 40K, that or Traveler or Shadowrun would be the best. Because, dude, Shadowrun is limbs getting blown off and magic and all kinds of other stuff. And you're in VTOLs, so you're at vertical takeoff and land vehicles. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a flying super bus, basically. Ambulance.
that's the other
Super bus
game you just
ambulance.
reminded me of. There was for
Oh,
a
riffs.
time there was the Blade Runner game, tabletop game.
Ooh,
I
yes.
remember that one, but it was not one that I, if I remember, I don't know that it was a U.S. game. It might have been either Canadian or English,
Really?
but I remember seeing the boxes.
Uh, mm,
And a lot of those games seem to come here. You'd find them at Toys by Roy, and because they were picking up stuff like that from all over the world,
there was Hobby
and they'd have
Bench.
yeah, and they would have
With
two copies of it. You'd only ever see two copies of it. There it is, because they got it in. Distributor had it. Somebody working there said, "Oh, this would be cool. We need to order two because I'm going to buy one, but we have to have one for the store so that the boss will order it."
I have to say, it wasn't till about '83 that comic book stores had an abundance of role playing games.
Right? They had the
Mostly
known
used.
ones.
Yeah,
They had the ones that they knew would sell. Dungeons and
yeah.
Dragons sold. So yeah, you're going to put that in there because if you had a big enough store, you had that or you had the module
And back
because you
in,
knew you could make money.
well, hold on, let's go back to 1982. 1982, I got my Dungeons and Dragons stuff from Paradise Valley Mall, which it was right by the food court. Later, it got moved to halfway across the mall, and eventually they didn't even carry role playing stuff anymore after the early '90s. They strictly were doing models
Yeah,
and collectibles, and
each of the hobby benches too were
Hobby Bench is still
if
around. 19th Avenue in Northern.
there's I've got the one up here, 43rd Avenue in Bell. But I think each of the stores were owned or managed by a different member of the family, so they had different things.
Yeah.
The one on 19th Avenue had a lot of the sewing, macrame, that, as well as the games and things like that. And then they had the different collectible pieces. The one up here has more of the, they don't have necessarily in the gaming, they have, and they always have had, a lot of the models, the radio controlled stuff, the train stuff, and then they had very specific collectible figurines for the groups, and most of it was for years. It was the young girls, the ladies that liked to collect certain types of these figurines. They always had the horses. They always had that type of thing, but they also had other types of princesses, different things that were very specific, and they still see it in there, and they do a very good business. If they weren't selling it, they wouldn't have it. So I know that they are turning that product over.
I remember one day, I think I was 9 or 10, I was on my bicycle. I was driving around, and I saw a garage sale sign. So I figured, what the hell? I'll go down the cul-de-sac. And halfway down the cul-de-sac was the garage sale. Holy shit! Modules, box sets, dice, miniatures, comic books. What is this? Oh, we owned a hobby store, and we're retiring, and this is what's left over. Dad, I need money!
I need $100 now.
Oh, I didn't get that. And they were just selling it, and back then, Marvel's superheroes wasn't really selling. So I bought the box set. It came with 2 10-sided dice and a little thing miniature. He's on my bookcase right here somewhere. I'll grab him in a minute. But and I bought a bunch of dice and some other. This because they didn't really understand the whole Dungeons and Dragons thing, even though I tried to force both of them to play. And my dad played along for a little bit, and he's like, "This is stupid. I have stuff to do. I'm busy." But
Yeah.
at least he gave it a try because he was in drama. This is acting. All right, no problem. But it was a same thing with comic books. At least he's reading. At least he's reading. Because before, I would read it real quick and then want to discuss it, and then they got tired of that after 5 hours. But that's how do you remember that? Never mind. Just keep. Okay, whatever. Oh, you know what? I got stuff to do.
Come with me. I'm going to go out and do my stuff. Keep talking.
Nuts. Yeah, I heard that all the time.
Because then you get to. Because I remember that was the pat answer. My mother was very good at it. My dad was pretty good at it too. Was it? Yep. And then okay, he'd be doing his stuff in the garage, doing something. Really? Okay, because he'd listen. He listened for the inflection. He didn't know what the hell I was talking about. He didn't care what I was excited. Really? Oh, come here and hold this for me, real.
Uh-oh, you're freezing.
Hold that right there.
Okay, now you're real time again. You froze. We could hear
okay.
everything you said. That'll come by later. It'll be fine.
Dad was big about that because he understood the flexions, whatever he was doing, while of me, whatever I was talking. So he's fixing something. He'd say, "Oh, really? Tell me more. Come here. I need you to hold this." You'd be holding it. Enough. Tell me more. Because that way he knew. At least you're talking to me. You're telling me what you picked something up. Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. Here, hold on to this. Pick it up. Are you
Exactly.
okay? Yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah.
dwarves.
Keep talking. Go ahead. Hold it right there.
Yeah. Dwarves. Keep going. Yeah, that was pretty much it. You and I hit this.
You expected it. My grandfather was of a different era, different age, and he barely acknowledged a lot of the things that we would be saying verbally. But he would sit there and he would sit. You knew he was listening because he was looking right at you. He'd be waiting. He'd be
I'm losing
while
the
when
signal.
Papa was looking at
Hello. Can you
you,
hear
telling you,
me? Can you hear
"Uh-oh,
me?
have I fallen off again?"
You keep kind of like freezing, and we only got half of that story. And then well, of course, I was trying to talk to you, so I was talking over you. So that was rude, but
Ah,
you're gonna have to start at the beginning.
no worries. Oh, I was going to say my grandfather was of a different generation. So he didn't necessarily draw this stuff out of you. He was going to teach you something. You were expected to listen. But then when he was going to listen to you, he would sit. Or he would be sitting in his chair and he'd be smoking a cigarette and be looking you right in the eye. And so you knew you had to learn those cues. Then you knew, oh, okay, he's listening. He wants to hear more. And he would wait. And then if there was something that he had to add to the conversation, he would do so. But otherwise, it was a matter of this is how we're going to present this. This is how we're going to talk about this. You're going to tell me your tale. And I'm going to listen, and then we'll move on. So he wasn't drawing it out. It was go.
Oh, you're froze again. He was going. He was going. There you go.
Oh, yeah, he was never going to draw it out. He expected you to tell your tale, finish your statement, then he was there. It's a
I'm
little
gonna.
bit different.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you talk. Go ahead.
Exactly. That was his whole thing. Tell me about it. Because then when you would go into the shop with him, then that was time for you to learn. And he would be presenting to you, this is what we're going to need you to do this, and here's the reason why. You're going to help me with this, we're going to go over. So when he would teach me how to work on cars, he had he had all the cool friends who had the really cool old classic car. So the 1940s, 1930s classics that were, I mean, they were all original. There were no hot rods. I mean, this was Charlie's car. He bought this new when he and his wife got married, driving ever since. Now they bought another car, but this is the first new car he ever owned. So he kept it. Charlie passed away last year. We're going to help Martha with the car because she doesn't drive very well, but this car needs to be driven every so often. So you're going to come with me. I'm going to show you how to check the oil. The 1934 Chevrolet four-door coupe. Here it is. And and you go through it, and he's just, yep, do this. And Martha would come out and offer you cookies and lemonade because my grandfather was coming over and helping. And then he would say, well, Martha, we'll take it around the block. Would you like to go with? Oh, no, you boys have fun. And he'd take it out, and we'd drive it around the block, and he'd look, oh, needs a little bit of gas. We'd go over to the gas station. I'm going to show you how to pump gas. You pump it until that sign right there says $5. Okay, take it out. Now we're going to go ahead. We'll drive it around a little bit more. We'll take it back to Martha. You know?
Yeah.
So that was the old way of doing it.
Yeah.
Show you how to do this. Next time, you're going to do it because you've been shown. Now you're going to show me you know. And eventually it was, I'm going to check this. I need you to check that. Yes, sir. Back. Looks good, sir. Okay, I trust you because you've shown me you know what you're doing. Get that card. Let's.
Yeah. One of those scenarios. I mean, yeah. I love working on the old stuff. I can't wait to start mass repairing in the backyard. I burned bumpers, fenders, the hood for the 48. I'm gonna start. I'm going to start at least using the SC tool and getting everything ready so at least I can get to the point where I'm ready to weld and repair. Put that yellow butter on that's in every video that's part of the Bondo experience. Because I guess Bondo's probably come a long way since I was 16. And
Use the Bondo, and then the glaze, the very thin stuff. That's where you get the final finish. None of the holes. So there's multiple steps in all of them. You no longer have to worry about taking your torch out and the lead block, heating up the metal and the lead a little bit, putting a little bit of lead onto it, and then letting it cool enough that you can get your rasp, and then you're going to take the rasp, work it down in files, work it down from there,
yeah. Well, I mean,
and
if we're
breathe it all in and die of lead poisoning.
if we're gonna do Pomona, I want to bring a lot to sell.
Yep.
So, but in the meantime, wow, I've got the
You know,
40.
the nice thing. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I brought the front fenders with the inner. I thought I brought the anyway. The front fenders for the 48 GMC half ton, the one with the destroyed roof, the cream colored one, and Pete pretty much gave me the 54 Chevy. Of course, he sold the hood for me, so now it needs a hood. But other than that, that's the 235 engine on my patio, which I still need to separate. I know, I'm sorry, viewers at home, I kind of gave up on that, but I don't know how to get the transmission off the engine right now. And then I I have an engine stand, but I need to get bolts for it. It's that yellow one that was in Paul's backyard that he had the Fiesta motor on for a while when he was rebuilding it for his Ford Fiesta. That'll hold a 235, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like you said, even you said you want me to pull the whole thing apart so you can see what's underneath, what the pistons look like, though it's probably all rusted. We probably need to buy all new, well, of course, bearings, but probably also pistons, rings, all the. But
Oh, yeah, you would definitely. You would replace all of those components as, the best you can.
Yeah.
Fear that you have is
It cracked?
Was it cracked, and are any of the cylinders gouged? Because if you have a gouged cylinder, you'll never get usable compression out of that motor, which means that then, depending upon what the motor is, what its provenance is, can it be bored out? Larger pistons could be put back together. Runs it. You're into it for $1,000, and you've got a motor that you can put into any vehicle. Off we go. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
If it's a motor that you have original motor for a special release of this particular vehicle, and it had these particular, these particulars with that vehicle. It had, it had the whiz bang, it had this G
I
whiz
love
on
whiz
it,
bang.
all these other things,
Gee
and I
whiz.
have and it's all the matching serial numbers. Then it becomes a matter of, okay, then it might be worthwhile, even if the cylinder has gouged horribly, we can get it sleeved. And then, because now numbers matching vehicle has greater value. So the original motor with the original vehicle, that had all of these extra components, or it was one of only, that year they made 50,000, but only 1,000 of them were in this configuration, which makes it more valuable. That's when it becomes worthwhile. That's when you'll hear about the guy that finds a 56 Corvette and the motor,
with the split
the
windshield and
right, the one cylinder has been gouged out. It's going to cost me $5,000 to just have the block rebuilt and brought together so that I can turn it into a running engine. But because this is a special one, there were only 500 of these in this configuration, in this color, with these add-ons, this specific thing, had this particular motor. Then it becomes, yes, it's worth spending the money.
Okay. Do you want to hear?
When
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, as I say, when I'm done, I have the unicorn. Okay, that's great. You have the money to invest in it. At the end, you have the unicorn, and it has that value.
Okay. I've already made several videos about this Chevy 1954 Chevy 235. I've also made videos about the truck. Originally, the truck was green, but technically it's white for our story, and it's referred to as the white truck, the white Chevy at the ranch. Pete and Judy bought it for the bed, and they used that bed and they put it on another truck. And then Bodyman Bill said, "Oh man, the cab is trashed and this is trashed," and he was right. And the motor is, you've seen my videos. However,
It's a parts truck. Yeah.
well, here's the ultimate dream for this truck, and I think it would like and subscribe, make some good viewing, and the three of us could mess with it as soon as I bring it down from the ranch. Now, that being said, I'm lifting the 1-ton 1947 GMC panel truck off of its chassis because the 54, Pete's pretty much sold parts of it. So some of it is still, I don't remember if all of it is still at the ranch or just parts of it are still at the ranch. However, that's complete. So we're going to put we're going to take the 47 body and put it on the 84 Suburban. So we're still left with chassis, tires and wheels, frame, la la la. So if the 235 is worth restoring, we could restore that and then rebuild the cab for the 235, and then I have the fenders and the grill and the hood, and well, no, the hood's for the 48. We need a hood, but Pete has them lying around. It's just the one that I had that came with the truck was in far better condition. That's a technicality. We can work around that. We're welders and blacksmith. So I figured that this truck could be a cool, like, belong to the Supreme Council truck. Like, we could drive it. We could, like, because I kind of want to, like, sand everything down and paint it, like, flat black. And it'll be, like, our mascot for the Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge. What do you think?
Turn it build it as a Sanford and Son. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be taken, because think about it this way. What's the logo card that you and I and Guy had landed on?
Damn
the old, worn, yellowed, hand-typed card.
Okay.
So the nice thing about it is you can build it and get it running, and you build it and get it running as a Sanford and Son style. So it's together, and it works. Don't make it right, just make it run. But the other side of it is, wow, it's now the other bits and pieces to it. So you make the chassis as nice as you. The motor is good. The wiring is done well. Then you put the body on, the cab on, get the cab so that it's usable. It's got a strong floor. The inside of it is functional. Now you have time to work on the outside. You can get it so that the fenders go on, the hood goes on. You can put, if you don't have a bed for it, you build a flat bed for temporary use. So now it's not only it's a work in progress, but it's a usable vehicle. So you can move things back and forth. You can fit. But again, you want to make it the Master Geek, the Master Geek's Lodge vehicle. Well, while it's in worn paint, you go out there and you just get basic stencils and you do a half job of stenciling
The
on the
geek
Master
card.
Geek's Lodge. And now you've got this. People are going to look at it and go, oh, that's really cool. That's a Survivor. Well, it is and it isn't. Survivor parts that are being put back together again. So now you have this moving test bed and work. You can go in there and do each of the bits and pieces, but it's still a usable vehicle. So now it's the vehicle you can take to O'Reilly's because you get 2 batteries. I don't want to put them in the back of you don't want to put them in the back of your dad's truck, but we can put them on the flatbed here. Nobody cares, and off we go.
Yeah, I think it would be. He was gonna scrap all of it, and then when I brought the engine home, Rick next door was like, "What are you doing with that boat anchor?" Oh, come on, man! I'm gonna have fun with this. We're gonna rebuild it, but it's rusted through and through, and I've had it soaking for months, and I still can't pry it with one of my big blue pry bar. So
what you may have to do is get it. If you get it upside down, you can get the caps off of the deck. Then you can use a piece of wood down past the crankshaft into the cylinder and tap on the bottom of the piston on that side. Once you have got the cap separated, now the piston is free to move. You can see, can I get that piston to move? Because at this point in time, that also gives you the chance to look at the bearings. You can look at it and say,
yeah, well, we know the bearings.
it gives you an idea if you can get it to roll over. If it needs it, then you have the opportunity to look and say, okay, a set of bearings is a set of crankshaft bearings is $50. A set of connecting rod bearings is another $35. Yeah. Okay, well, can I save the pistons? Okay, a set of rings is $60. Can I ball hone the engine? Can I do what we used to, the weekend redneck dingle ball rebuild? We're just gonna make it run.
Yeah, we need new copper wires. Pete probably has that, or I've got a package of it. I've got a carburetor. I've got, we could probably reuse the gaskets, but we should get new ones.
That whole motor is literally, that is what Guy and I have been talking about. That's the 5 wires and running. It really is. That's the nice thing about that is you can put that motor together. You can start it up on the concrete. Quite literally, you can start it up on the concrete.
Yeah.
No. See that it runs.
Say what
and
you
then
want.
if it runs, now you can go through all the other permutations.
Yeah. Say what you want about old Chevys, but they want to run. They don't want to die. They want to live.
All the old motors were like that. That was the nice thing about it, is that they were built with much larger tolerances, and the idea being that they were built to run. They didn't have to run great.
Yeah.
They were built to run for a period of time, but they were also built with the intent that you could maintain them. You could keep them running over a period of time, and that unless something dramatic occurred, all of the consumable parts could be replaced without requiring a deep dive into machine work to keep that motor operation. So you could put new bearings. It wasn't unheard of to put new bearings to a motor after 60,000 miles and drive it another 60,000 miles, then have to take it to a machine shop and have a bunch of other work.
Well, I don't, again, it's now Sunday night for me. I have to be at work tomorrow. Yay. But I would like to make videos of getting that engine It doesn't have to run great. It just has to turn over. Damn it! This is a quest now. I've been beating on it and soaking it for a couple years now. I'm pretty sure we can do it. Like I said, I've got, I haven't thrown anything away. Everything's here. All the rods are straight. That gives hope. If I could just get it to move, I would have even more hope. There is a broken bolt holding the transmission to the
For the
engine.
block,
Yeah.
that's easy though. That's not a problem. That can be drilled out,
Yeah,
repaired.
I should probably drill
So
it out.
that's not a big thing. The most important thing right now is to get the transmission separated from the block to be able to,
To
if your
play
intent
with the
is to
flywheel,
repair the motor. If the intent was to repair the motor, put minimal new parts in, repair it. You want the transmission removed because putting
It's
in new bearings requires pulling the crankshaft out. None of this is impossible to do. It just, the transmission makes it difficult. Get rid of it. Get the transmission separated. You can find out if the motor will turn. You may find that the motor turns, but the transmission itself is what is locked up.
oh, huh.
So could be a combination of the two.
Because I got the two bolts on the inside, and I got all the ones on the outside, but then I discovered one that was like, oh, this is so. If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Right. Remember,
Explosives are what?
explosives are our friends. If you pack the black powder just right into a toilet paper tube,
Yeah. Boom. M80. It's called.
that's right. What are you doing? I am simply giving this transmission an opportunity to separate.
It's a pipe bomb. We learned it from Terminator 1 in the 80s. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Oh no, my
It's,
hand!
it's what we call spontaneous disassembly.
Scatter explosion. What happens? Well, I just scattered my fingers all over with an explosion.
That's right. I've asked it nicely to come apart. I've tried to persuade it. And now, if it's liquid, it can't be tight.
No, no, we can't. We'll get there. It's a 235. Now, the panels on the side with the louvers and the one with the, vent, it's trashed. The bottom is a little crispy, a lot crispy. Top glass needs to be replaced, but for the most part, it's not that bad. So I have hope. Again, you just heard my plan. So we'll take that cab and we'll put it on the 47 chassis, and then we'll just put a modern. We'll just update the. You know, we'll
Yeah,
put discs on there on front and back, and it doesn't have to be a hot rod. It just has to work affectionately.
exactly. It doesn't have to
She's
be extraordinary.
she's our girl. She's a labor of love. I don't want her to be a speed demon. We have other. Hey,
Freiberger, Freiberger was famous for always saying, don't get it right, just get it running.
there you go. Well, I can put. I we're gonna put a 350 in the 1-ton 47, and the reason it's a 47 is because it doesn't have a parking brake, because that didn't happen until 1948. History. So with the 48, the one with the messed up roof, finally they've discovered. So you're just gonna put a suburban roof on there? Yeah, but it won't be historically accurate. Well, no, I don't give a shit. I don't care what kind of roof it has, as long as it has a roof, and then I won't have to hear how fucked up it is anymore, and we can get on to completing the restoration. Because I don't want you to cut it up, because his thing is to cut it up and make it into this crazy funny truck. It's like, I don't really want to part with her. And then Phil said it best, and we tried to explain it to Pete. This is the vehicle the last vehicle that my father and I worked on before he died. So this vehicle is like a shrine. I have to restore her. Why do you think I bought a locked up 327 off of a guy? Because I'm going to put that engine in this panel truck, and she is, well, it's not going to look. I don't really. You don't care? No, I've never cared. You and Bill and Joe decided that I wanted it to look, exactly like a 40. It could look like a. For a while, Cliff and I were talking about make it look like one of those roly-poly bugs.
Yeah.
Which we talked about that too, which would be awesome. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I just want to get it back on the road. I haven't decided whether I want to repair the bullet holes or leave them where they are.
Well, and it's an opportunity for you to learn all of the skill sets, all of the different things that go into the project.
Yeah. Tell me what to do. Show me. And then I want to do it myself. Yeah. Don't do it for me. I want to do this. I don't know what I'm doing, but just tell me what to do and teach me, and then I'm off and running, man. I'm unstoppable.
Be the blacksmithing all over again. Let me give you a quick primer. Yeah. Here's how you do this. Now, you have to do it so you can feel what I just tried to describe.
Exactly. I can't wait. Well, I've taken so many psychological tests, and it's like, you're just good at everything. You just have to be excited about it, and you can just do it, and you'll be really good at it. It's like, I've been hearing this since college. Okay, let's do this. So, I think, and that's every human. I don't think that's just me. I think that's whoever has passions for stuff. The boron that's in my closet, I can grab it. It's like 9 feet away. Paul taught me how to play it, and then he loaned it to me. And then he was mad at me for a long time because within 3 weeks of practicing it every day, I was better than he was. And he was very upset about that. Dude, you got the penny whistle. I still suck at that. I'm 53. I don't really touch it now and again, so much as a joke, to play the random Morris tune or the few Irish tunes I know on it. Other than that, same thing with the clarinet. I really want to know how to play this instrument, but I'm not any good at it. Even though I was forced to play the clarinet from 4th grade on. I did my best, but it's hard to get excited about practicing an instrument you suck at if you don't want to be like the best at it. And if you're just like, oh yeah, that'd be cool to learn. That, and I'm more towards, drums. I want to learn, I have a passion for piano and accordion. I don't really care about. I think clarinet and flute and they're cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying them. I'm not like, I just sucked at. I was no Ishkabibble. There you go. Or Benny.
There was no. You did, yeah. I was going to say you're more akin to Buddy Rich, not Kenny G. There's a difference. You're not. Your passion doesn't lie in that.
Yeah, Willow is going to take up trumpet, and that just. I haven't said anything to Beth and Chip yet, but Willow was telling me all about trumpet, and I'm like, wow, that's really neat. That's great. You should check that out. And trumpet's an instrument that can play any type of music. Any type of music needs horns, and trumpet is like the bass instrument for all of the brass instruments across. Well, I wanted to play trombone, but my arms are too small. Well, you're only 10 years old, so give it some time. You could be really tall. That's in the family. Though you're probably going to be short. The other side's not really tall. Where my grandfather was 6'2", and I'm 5'10". My dad was 5'8". My grandfather was 5'10". I'm 2 inches taller than my father. That's all that matters. I didn't. But I think it's hilarious that she has sudden passion for trumpet, and she's apparently liked it all along, because later in life I found out that one of my grandfather's favorite big band artists was Bunny Bergen, who was a phenomenal trumpet player. Like an amazing trumpet player. He died of cirrhosis at age 36. Those were different times when alcohol could kill you. But I've always had the trumpet's awesome. I've always wanted to play it, but just never had the time or money.
Is my
what?
The closest I Viking horn.
Nice.
I can warriors, but that's about it.
I've got all the lights on my router. How's your connection? Because you keep coming in and out for that last.
It sounds like mine is flipping a bit then. So I'm supposed to be in the neighborhood where they're putting in the new fiber optic. And they warned that as they were doing the work, there might be interruption.
Gotcha.
And so perhaps they're out just lollygagging, causing difficulty.
Oh, there's interruptions on. All right, where's the? Stella's in the chair. Squidget's in my lap. There's interruptions. All right. Oh, Rick and Morty. Which shirt are you wearing tonight?
Oh,
hey.
Tonight this is the Eric Marsh Foundation for Wildland Firefighters.
Good.
This particular one has the Wildland Firefighters prayer on it.
Yeah.
That's where I went Friday afternoon. We went up to Prescott to deliver the donation from the Orient of Arizona to the Eric Marsh Foundation. They moved to a new office, which was very cool. And Amanda Marsh, the director, we were up there. She took us down to Courthouse Plaza, where they have they put up a beautiful memorial to the Hotshots. She walked us around that, showed us the points of interest on the memorial, and gave us a rundown of the process that they went through, as how the city fathers decided they wanted to build this memorial to the Hotshots, which was wonderful. She was telling us the story that there were some folks on the city council who wanted to put up 19 individual statues, one for each of the fallen Hotshots. And they were going to put it throughout that park around Courthouse Plaza. And Amanda and others were worried. They didn't want them to put all of those statues up and basically eat up all of that space.
Yeah.
For these statues, they said they lobbied more for just one
monument with
memorial
name on it. Yeah.
Right. And the idea being that they would still have all that open space, because for generations, people have used Courthouse Plaza as a meeting place, as a place for to take the kids. They play soccer, they play baseball in that park. You know, the kids go out there all the time. And, right. So she said that one person on the council had told her, well, we'll just put up 19 statues, but the one for Eric, we'll just leave it without a face. Are you out of your mind? What kind of a troll position is that? Wow. And I thought it was, we're all listening to her and we're thinking that, no, that's the most logical choices. One memorial for the team. Yeah. And I think that the team would have, if they had been there, would have said, no, I don't want a personal statue.
All for one for all.
Exactly. And then she took us around the way because they put up another memorial for the fallen police officers and sheriff's deputies up there. And so that was really interesting and poignant when we got to sit and talk with her and found out some good history, and then walked back to the office with her and just had good general conversations, and it was really nice. She's a hell of a great lady.
Right on. Well, that's refreshing. Could have gone the other way,
Yeah, well, yeah, he has really put forward the effort. Just a couple of weeks ago, she hosted a widows retreat for all of the wildland firefighter widows that she was able to bring in.
Yeah.
And that was all they did was they took these widows out to they stayed at the St. Michael Hotel, I guess, in town, but then they had events where they took the ladies out to a couple of ranches where they could let them ride horses, and they had retreats where they all got to get together. Showed us some pictures. The foundation took all the ladies for makeovers. Give them, say, look, you get to be. We're going to let you have a makeover so that you can feel good about yourself. And then they had some mental health folks that were there to help with activities, and it was a hell of an adventure. And part of the thing that we were excited about was the fact that the money we donated helped to cover a good portion of that whole program for her. So we were very glad.
That's the real magic right there.
Oh yeah.
And there's Squidget, council member Squidget, like and subscribe. But at least you guys are doing good. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting how much, because she knew about us only because we'd reached out to her and whatnot. So she knew that the Scottish Rite existed in Arizona and Freemasons were in Arizona. But she didn't realize that Freemasons are all around the world. So is the Scottish Rite. Because she was telling us about, she had some widows in other states where they were trying to get assistance and whatnot. We said, hey, don't be afraid to reach out to the Masons in those areas, because this is what we do. This is part of how we help. So that's something that I'm going to try to do for her, is as she's telling me about these other locations, these other folks, I'm trying to get it in front of the Scottish Rite across the country. Say, hey, here's something. If you guys are looking for something to do, people to help out, here's an opportunity.
In the perfect world.
Oh yeah. Well, it was fun.
Oh, you're freezing
and
me again.
Is that any better?
Now you're moving.
Okay. Well, she was telling us about moving into the new office, and she's trying to get some folks together, but she could use some help from time to time as they're putting the new office together. And one of the brothers that was there is a member of the Peoria or the Prescott Lodge. And he said, you need help. There's a brother up the street owns one of the stores. Just go over and tell him that you need some help. Tell him that we sent you. And she looked, what? So, oh, yeah. You just go in and let him know. And so we walked down there and we talked to he wasn't in the store. We talked to his wife and whatnot. And then the brother that had mentioned it reached out to him. He says, hey, don't be surprised if Amanda comes down and asks you for some help every so often. And he texts back. He's like, oh, hell yeah. All she's got to do is ask. I'm there. That's what we do.
That'll definitely help. Absolutely.
So
one hand washes the other. Oh my God! Cat hair. Thanks, Squidget. Awesome. She's old. She's got a growth on her pancreas. She's got pancreas issues, which is rare for cats. Usually it's urinary stuff. crazy since she was a kid. But Beth told me not to take her home. Here she is, 17 years later. Her mom was such a sweetheart. Her 3 brothers were so awesome. Squidget. One in every family. So, yes. One hand washes the other. Historic cars are awesome. Teach your kids how to play D&D and play with them. Like and subscribe.
Exactly.
That's what we've covered so far. How are you doing?
I am starting to want run out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
We're in for almost 2.5 hours. I'm covered in cat hair, but other than that, I'm ready to go. But if you want to call it, we will call it.
Yeah. This is my St. Mary's Food Bank week. So tomorrow I get to do the food bank. So every other day this week is a 10-hour day for me. Make sure I cover my hours.
Gotcha. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Stay geeky. And thank you. Make the most of it. You could watch anybody, but you decided to watch us. We appreciate that. And Guy will be back next week on Monday, and as will Ron. Ron said, I know it's Memorial Day, but we got nothing going on. I could join you guys. So, okay, cool. Ron and Ed and Carson and Chris and Lunk. We have a lot of honorary members that we just haven't brought on the show yet because availability. Most people are working 2 jobs because, excuse me, that's not why. But mostly because, times are tough. I know very few people that just have one job and no side hustle. So, we got to make more Tomahawk videos. I got to get Hannah over there. I know Ron wants to go over there. Carson wants to go over there. John Jay, a bunch of other people. Brett. Dude, everybody wants to be a blacksmith. It's like the coolest thing ever. It's like being a wizard in the Middle Ages.
We can make it happen.
Fantastic. We will make more videos. We hope you like them. I don't know. I should there's like acetylene. Well, I can't. You need like an acetylene torch to heat up that bulb, don't you?
Not necessarily. If you do it with matte gas, you can get it hot. Take a little longer, and then I get it hot, and then I hit it with the penetrating oils.
Mm.
Penetrating oils do 2 things. For one, they heat, and then sudden shock can cause dissimilar meta shrink.
Mm.
So it can help try and break loose. The heat also helps to wick the oil into the threads, which can help to get through it. So,
gotcha. Move the tail. She's so happy right now. She's purring. Okay, then we'll have to do that, and I'll have to do a lot more for it. Thank you for watching. All right, man. Get a good night's sleep. Yeah, I've been up since. It's summer, pretty much. So they've been waking me up at 4 o'clock. Then I went out to the ranch, and then I came back, and it's just been go all day. So I'm not gonna argue stopping early because it's almost 8 o'clock, but I'm like, it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to bed. I'm 53 years old. I should be staying up till like, you know what? Never mind. I'm tired.
Right, I'm not fighting it. It's not worth it.
The kid in me is like, this is bullshit. The adult's like, so we're going with the adult right now, and yeah, like and subscribe. We'll figure out the Patreon thing. I unfortunately, real quick, and then I'll stop. I know I keep talking after I keep. This is why I'm not capable of a 5-minute conversation. Sorry, I love humans and I love talking. That's why this podcast. Paul Chamberlain. I don't know if I'm allowed to use his full name. Hilarious guy. He's a server at Depov. The nice, very, it's at 1,800 feet. You get to see the whole view. This place is great. You have to it's reservation only. You can't just show up. You can go to the bar. If you just show up, you can go to the bar and get a meal. But you can't, sit in the restaurant unless you have a reservation. Tapatio Cliffs, the point. Look it up. So, he's polishing glasses. There's been a lot of accidents. I think it has something to do with the full moon and these, shift from spring to summer. Yes, Squidget, I'm sorry. But he was injured. We took the med kit up there, polishing water glasses. It shattered, got the webbing of his hand and his knuckle. 2 really good abrasions and a few smaller abrasions. He's got it on ice. We get up there. I talk to Paul all the time. The guy's hilarious. We start telling jokes. You're going to sue the glasses? No, man. Paul's main concern is I'm sitting still and I have ice. We've got a full house tonight. Am I going to be able to help, or is it going to start bleeding again? You really should go to the urgent care if that's your question. Sorry, I keep rubbing my face. It's cat hair galore. Because I got Stella right next to me and squeeze it. So we fill out all the paperwork. They were already wrapping him up. Tanner wraps him up. We talk about it for a while. All of his coworkers, this is how loved this guy is. At least 4 people come in and make fun of him. That's love. If they didn't give a shit about him, everybody would just ignore it and be like, what's wrong with Steve? Oh, his name is Jim. What's wrong with Jim? Oh, he cut him. Oh, sorry, Squeeze. I didn't mean to yell at you. I was just yelling. Anyway, cat hair problem over. Holy crap. They're shedding because it's summer. So, as security, we come in the back. We go up the elevator. The elevator's haunted. I'm jumping ahead. Paul's okay, but later he decides to go to the urgent care, and 4 stitches. 1 in the knuckle, 2 in the webbing, just to make sure. Stay off of it. Put ointment on it. Keep it clean. Stay off of it. It's his hand. Sorry. Don't work till Monday. Monday morning, come in for an evaluation. Monday night, you're probably okay to go back to work. Eat lots of broccoli, dude. That's the secret for healing, I swear to God. Anyway, and green beans. Broccoli and green beans. That's like Wolverine's superpower. They never told us. They said it was spinach, but that was only half of it. So, there's a blonde woman on the first floor, and she's a chef. I really am unfamiliar with who does what at the different point of view restaurant at where. No more than if you worked at the mall and we're like, I don't know who works at Orange Julius. It's just a bunch of people. I don't know who's at pick one. So, how haunted is this place? Well, the elevator opens all the time and nobody pushes the buttons. And sometimes it'll travel from floor to floor and no one summoned it. Okay, that sounds about right. I don't like this place. Everywhere else in this resort, I feel completely comfortable. Ooh, it's a little creepy, but most of it is sad. Most of it kind of feels sad. Depov, I feel like somebody's just so angry that they ended themselves in the restaurant. So the attractive blonde woman tells me, fly in here. Missed. Not as fast as I used to. That for the amount of time that she's worked there, 5 people have died. So that sounds about right. I'm coming in at the end of this, and the director of security has died, and the director of prop ops is now acting as the director of security. And Mike does an awesome job. I don't want to make it sound like Mike Goff he's awesome. He's fun. He's cool. I love the dude. I don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with anybody really. It's more that building that feels like someone's about to push you. Someone's about to yell at you, and it's a very male, angry feeling in the kitchen. Meanwhile, everybody there is like really nice because we're security. We're in the way, but I'm only there 0.015% of the time for an injury or a drunken asshole. The injury, I'm probably in the kitchen or on the stairs. The drunken asshole, I'm in the lower bar every time. So, now, did we tell the story about the roof yet? I can't remember if we're talking in circles and it's been so late. But she told me that about the story about people yelling, and she also says that nobody wants to work there at night. They all leave as quickly as possible and in groups because they're so afraid of the building. Most of not the cooks lesser, but the servers they run through the building. So okay, I'm getting more of this because there's I think that a lot of the spirits are male, so they don't give a crap about me, but they kind of torment the women because Wendy is on the security force. Wendy was trained. I had a hand in Wendy's training. Wendy is absolutely terrified of the ballroom because the first night I saw an arm. What? I saw an arm? No, there's nobody in there. Someone's in there. No, someone's in there. Okay, look, this door's open. I took her to the next door. This door's open. Or locked. This door's locked. Yes. This door's locked. Yes. Let's go around back. This door's locked. Now let's go in here. Nobody. 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 Let's go all the way around to the other side. There's no one in here. I saw an arm. I believe you did. Because there's so many stories about this place. So, I don't know. Call it what you will. That's why I posted the video of Carson and I goes, because he's like, oh, I want to go ghost hunting. It's like, dude, let's go. Get your phone ready. This is awesome.
Yep.
And he did. He had a good time. We had fun. And then he taught me all about Warhammer 40K. He's the one that, he's a rodeo guy. And he does Warhammer, and he's really into baking, baking's a skill. It's like magic.
Yes.
Recipes are spells. All right, I will let you go to sleep. I'll stop babbling. You've got to be up super early. I should probably go to bed. I've been up a long time. I'm now like overtired. Who knows? I might be playing video games in 5 minutes. Thank you for watching. Guy will be back next week. Ron Hill will join us, the Phoenix Ninja. Make the most of your day. Love the week. Love each other. Make sure to spend the most time with the people that are most important with you because they're not going to be around forever.
Be good. If you can't be good, don't get
caught. Thank you very much. All right, man. You have a good night.
Take care.
You too. You have a good one. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.